Alright, so I'm gonna stray away from my main content for this video. This is gonna be about like a top 10 recommendations of movies in the Criterion channel or Criterion collection. These aren't the top tier movies in that service, so don't expect any Kurosawas, any Ozus, any Bergmans, or any Lynches. Yeah, these are just like movies that are like underrated in the Criterion collection. And yeah, it's basically a niche of a niche. Most of these are gonna be movies that you don't know or are too old to know. And you can watch these movies by subscribing to the Criterion channel. It's an $11 a month subscription service that's exclusive to like America and Canada. But with the VPN, you could just like make an account and never have to use that VPN after forever. And yeah, I'm not feeling like 100% today. My throat fucking hurts. I drank like some hot water or like ate some hot food I forgot. And it hurts so much. Holy shit. So yeah, let's begin. Number 1 on the list is Shop on Main Street. This is a 1965 Czechoslovakian film directed by Jan Kader and Elmar Klosch. It's about an average middle-aged man who tries to preserve the life of an elderly Jewish woman at the time of the Nazi occupation. Because this woman is just trying to enjoy the remainder of her life by selling her buttons and stuff, and she doesn't even make money off the store. But these fucking crazy people here with their fucking stupid and fucking barbaric ideology are just trying to fuck things up. And our hero here tries to do what he can to save this old woman, or at least delay the inevitable. And he does this in very grounded ways. Like, this is a super realistic movie. It never goes to the realm of fantasy, of like secret agents or resistances. There is no resistance here. This is basically just trying to survive the time and the place. This actually takes place in like 1942, so not another 3 years will there be help. The story plays out as a series of worsening degrees of oppression by the Nazis on the people until its logical and tragic conclusion. So this is not the most technically impressive movie on this list, but it's certainly one of the most impactful because shit man, that ending, I can still remember it like right now vividly. I think we need another like time of suffering to like create great movies like this because people now seem to have forgotten how evil people can become and how stupid things can get in the world. So yeah. The second movie on this list is Cape Fear 1962. This was directed by J. Lee Thompson, and this is the original adaptation preceding the critically acclaimed, infinitely quotable, and basically more successful and famous movie of the 90s, which was a remake of this one by Martin Scorsese starring Robert De Niro, Nick Nolte, you know the one. But I prefer this one since it's less over the top, it's more believable and realistic, and ultimately unsettling. And the daughter being like completely repulsed by this guy is just a more natural reaction, a more natural dynamic than what the daughter in the remake had with the antagonist, which was like super creepy and weird. Don't get me wrong. I love Robert De Niro's performance, but the rest of the cast was terrible, and it got very annoying at parts. While in this movie, like, you are on the side of everyone in the family 100% of the time. Mitchum is so unlikable. He's such a better heel than De Niro was because De Niro was like an entertaining heel that you would cheer for, and you're not supposed to. And I love it that in this movie, it's a lot more clear cut that Gregory Peck is our hero. And there's no doubt about it. And aside from that, there are no 90s isms that plague the conventional cinema at that time. And yeah, back to Mitchum. He was a true heel for wrestling fans out there. And he was like creepy. He didn't have to go yelling all over the place. The sexual assault that he's capable of and he actually commits in the movie is like more subtle. It's not shown to us, and the extent of the horror that he inflicts is left to our imagination, which at the end of the day is more terrifying. The third movie on the list is Drive My Car. This is the most recent among these entries and is the winner of the 2022 Best Foreign Picture Award in the Oscars. This is a Japanese movie by Ryusuke Hamaguchi. It's not on the Criterion channel yet, but they're gonna make like a Criterion DVD slash Blu-ray of this movie. So Drive My Car is about a man who goes on a journey, like a sort of soul-searching journey with his driver who's like 20 years his junior in order to like get over his wife's infidelities, discover why she did this, and while this is happening, he has to do his job, which is like he's an actor who acts in like plays. And this particular play of his is like so cool because it's a multinational production of the Chekhov play Uncle Vanya, where like every actor and actress speak their own language from their country of origin. And I find this concept interesting, and I might have enjoyed this part the most, more than the main story. But the main story is awesome too. This is based on a short story collection that I bought immediately after watching the movie. It's by Haruki Murakami. It's called Men Without Women, and it's based on two stories, Drive My Car, of course, and Sherazade. So the movie expands on the book very well, and it's arguably better than the source material. So yeah, for me, this should have won Best Picture over Coda. And yeah, I forgot to tell you guys that this list is not in particular order, so if you've started fuming, just cut it out. So number 4 on the list is Antoine and Colette by Francois Truffaut. It's the second movie, or it's like a very short movie compared to the others, but it's the second installment to the Antoine Donnell series. The Adventures of Antoine Donnell. Excuse me. In this movie, we follow Antoine Donnell from the 400 Blows, but now he's a teenager and he experiences falling in love for the first time to the titular Colette. And his approach to courtship is something I think most men his age can relate to, and it's definitely a flaw that one learns after failure, the hard way. So I really recommend this movie. It's not very long, and it's the last true French New Wave film of the series before it takes a comedic, a more like romantic comedy-ish sort of turn that is more akin to modern movies than movies of the time. So yeah, Antoine and Colette, go watch it. Okay, so next one is The Red Shoes. It's a 1948 British movie by Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger. And it's set around a ballet production of The Red Shoes, specifically the producer, Lemontov, the composer, Julian, and the star ballerina, Vicky, where Vicky has to choose between ambition in Lemontov and love in Julian. And for the whole movie, this just eats on her and eats on her. The pressure from her boyfriend and her boss just like destroys her from inside out. And while we have this main story, we also have the ballet itself. And by God, we get like 15 minutes of just pure dancing, pure performance from the lead actress, Moira Shearer, who is actually a legit ballerina. And you can kind of see it, the way she acts. She's more of a dancer than an actress, but she does a bang-up job. This is kind of like Black Swan, but less sexual, and a lot more like grand in scale. And people don't turn into swans in this movie. So yeah, I really like this movie. Go watch it if you're like a dancer, if you're a ballerina or something, or you just enjoy good stories about the choice between ambition and love or family that women at that time were pressured to make. Okay, so five down, five more to go. We're halfway there. Let's move on to the next one. So, number six on the list is Sancho the Bailiff. It's a 1954 period piece by Kenzo Mizoguchi, and it's about the tragic life of the family, mainly the children, of a truly good medieval Japanese government official, as they suffer through the worst of what the world had to offer at that time and place. So the father is exiled, and then the mother is separated from the children, Zushio and Anju. The children are sold into slavery, and somewhat so is the mother, and they grow up as slaves of a high ranking Japanese official who is like the complete opposite of their father, the titular Sancho, who is, pardon my French, an irredeemable piece of shit. This is truly an unforgiving story of the underdog of underdogs as we follow Zushio and Anju as they try to reunite with their mother and claim their birthright, while at the same time try to live by the principles embodied to them by their father. So next is The Vanishing. This is a 1988 Dutch film by George Sluizer. This is about a couple, Rex and Saxia, on holiday in France. But then, surprise, surprise, Saxia vanishes. Ooh. So yeah, this is not a spoiler because the movie is called The Vanishing. Someone has to vanish. But unlike other thriller mystery stories, this movie follows the one responsible for said vanishing. And he's the last guy you'd expect. He's an unsuspicious family man named Raymond, and we follow this guy from the inception of the idea of the vanishing to him practicing his methods and being bad at it. While the main guy, Rex, obsesses over Saxia's disappearance and tries to find out what happened. And that's all I'll say, or it'll ruin the movie. You need that initial shock of the ending in order to fully enjoy it, and then the rewatch where you'll see how the pieces connect together. So number 8 on the list is The Burmese Harp. It's a 1956 Japanese anti-war film by Kon Ichikawa. It's set at the end of the war, and I think it's the most tame I've ever seen an Imperial Japanese military unit be portrayed in cinema. Because usually, Western media portrays them as these suicidal maniacs who would kill you the first chance they get. But here, these guys are all really good singers, and they're held together by their harp player, Private Mizushima. The movie follows Private Mizushima as he's separated from his unit, and as he journeys through Burma and witnesses the devastation that war brings, as well as what foolhardy patriotism turns people into. This is truly one of the gems of the collection, and is unlike any war movie I've ever seen. It's truly one of the gems of the collection, and like most movies of this list, it never leaves the channel, so go get the channel. Okay, so now for the second to the last movie on the list, it is Manila in the Claws of Light, or Maynila sa Kuko ng Liwanag. It's a 1975 Filipino film by Lino Broca, when Filipino movies were good. Because now we get just trash all over the place. Especially every December for like the film festival or something. It's a bad time for movies here in the Philippines. So yeah, this is about a young man, Julio, who goes to Manila to almost save his beloved Ligaya from the city itself. She finds herself in the city by way of tactics that are still being used by human traffickers to this day to coerce and lure these ignorant country girls from their simple lives to servile workplaces. So he goes to Manila, but as time passes, as he makes a life for himself in the city, he is consumed by the injustices, the corruption, the poverty, and God knows what a shithole like Manila throws to someone like this. This is a realistic damsel in distress story in a time and place where ideas such as empowerment and even human rights for the less privileged almost didn't exist. I'm not even sure if times have changed anything, to be honest, but I do know that this is the greatest Filipino film ever, so go watch it. So, for the final film in this list, it's also the best, and I think if I would rank these, this would be number one. This is Barry Lyndon, 1975, by Stanley Kubrick. So I would just like to reiterate that this is the best film on this list, and it's one of my top 10 movies of all time. Barry Lyndon is the story of Redmond Barry, who is a young Irish farm boy who, because of circumstances caused by his naivete and people just simply fucking him over, Redmond Barry does all he can to rise up in the ranks of society and be nobility. He does this to the point of stepping over other people, betraying people who've helped him, and even mistreating children. Although this kid is like a posh nobility cunt, he still doesn't deserve this, and Barry should have tried harder. I love how his character is shaped by his experiences and his environment, and he evolves from a morally good, naive Irish farm boy to a conniving, rakish gold digger. And we see this happen organically throughout the movie. And I'm not an expert in like the technicalities of filmmaking, but tons of shots here can honestly be paintings. And my god, to this day, this is one of the best movies to portray linear warfare. It's only beaten out for me by Waterloo and The Russian War and Peace by Sergei Bondarchuk. This is a must-watch for any history buff, and it deserves more attention from the general public because it's that damn good. So, like in my wrestling reviews, I'm just gonna rank these. So here are my rankings of the movies in this list. And yeah, there they are. Just like pause the movie if you want to look at it even longer. But yeah, that is this video. Like, comment, and subscribe for engagement. Share if you don't know me. Hit that bell notification for future videos. And to my like wrestling fans here, I promise I'm not gonna flood the channel with this type of content. And to the people who want to stay because of the movie stuff, I'm gonna do some movie stuff, but not as often as the wrestling content, because that is what my subscribers are here for, and I don't want to let them down. So yeah, watch my shit.